Given that our purpose is bringing forth an environmentally sustainable, spiritually fulfilling, and socially just human presence on this planet, the first question to ask is, where are we? In other words, what kind of world is our modern way of life actually producing?
Answering that question and confronting the realities it reveals may not be comfortable, but as we'll see, it is an essential first step to revealing what may be the greatest opportunity any generation has ever faced.
One place to begin is with the dramatic changes that have occurred in human population. For thousands of years, human population on Earth remained relatively steady. Then, about 200 years ago, at the time of the Industrial Revolution, humans learned how to harness the energy of fossil fuels. That allowed agriculture productivity to increase dramatically, and human population began to grow exponentially.
Since then, we in the modern world have attempted to meet our needs and wants through an ever-expanding process of extraction, production, consumption, and disposal of natural resources.
Gross domestic product, GDP, is supposed to, be a measure of everything, puts a value on everything that's been produced in an economy within a year's time. But what that doesn't measure is the fact that in order to achieve that gross domestic product, there's also a lot of destruction of natural wealth. And one can in fact say that the greater the GDP of a country is, measured conventionally, the more natural wealth, either in that place or globally, has been destroyed.
This current industrial model requires continuous economic growth. But is that growth sustainable? According to the United Nations, sustainability is the ability of the current generation to meet its needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet theirs. In many ways, the mass consumption dream of the modern world has been a nightmare for the global environment.
The Earth's forests are shrinking. Soils are eroding. Water tables are falling as a result of overpumping of aquifers. Fisheries are collapsing. Grasslands are turning into desert as a result of overgrazing. No civilization has ever survived the ongoing destruction of its natural support systems, nor will ours.
In fact, the world is rapidly approaching a number of tipping points, thresholds beyond which dangerous trends will become irreversible, threatening the existence of life as we know it. One such tipping point is the end of cheap, plentiful petroleum, what is known as peak oil.
The academic researchers, who are much more likely to be independent and hard-headed in their analysis outside the oil industry, believe that peak oil probably in the area of a 2010, 2015, something like that. And after that, we begin to see a reduction in the supply, but an acceleration of demand. It is impossible to believe that that will not happen. It is going to happen.
Humanity has been continuously increasing its resource demand to the extent that by the mid-80s, we've started to use more than what nature can regenerate. And by 2007, humanity used about 30% more than what nature can renew. So we have been in global overshoot.
Overshoot can be thought of as living off of your credit card. Humanity's living off its ecological credit card. If we use more than nature can keep up with, we actually start to erode natural capital that life depends on.
Currently, if everyone on Earth lived as North Americans do, we'd need 5 Earths. For everyone to live as Europeans do would take 3 Earths. In other regions, people are living beyond the capacity of 1 Earth as well. China and India are presently living just under the one Earth level. But given the rapid industrialization and economic growth of both countries, that's sure to change.
We are fast approaching a number of tipping points related to the increase of carbon dioxide in the Earth's atmosphere, caused primarily by the burning of fossil fuels.
The scientists around the world have come together to tell us that climate change is actually happening at a much faster rate than they had first anticipated. The signs of this are the cataclysmic storms, the extremes in weather. The polar ice caps are melting, and it means that the entire ecosystem is in peril.
Tipping point means that, in the context of climate change, that after a certain temperature rise and certain other impacts on the global ecosystem, certain things change that cannot be moved back. If the glaciers disappear, then they will no longer be able to supply the lakes and the rivers. As they are melting, you have more water around, flooding, and lakes are full. But once they disappear, then that's it. Then there is no more.
While people are becoming increasingly aware of the effects of climate change, what's not as well known is the impact we are having on other species.
We are in the midst of a mass extinction, but the news has not reached the general public. They are utterly unaware that the sacred and talismanic and heartbreakingly loved companions of ours on this earth are about to disappear forever. They will not return. African lions are on the absolute verge of extinction. There are only 20,000 left. That's down 90% in the past few decades. Every species and subspecies of tiger on the planet is on the absolute verge of extinction. Elephants, down 90% in the past century. 90% of all large fish are gone from the oceans. Half of all species of life may be extinct in 50 years.
Nothing this destructive has happened in 65 million years. I mean, why is that not our central concern? It's overwhelming. No one imagined it could happen. So suddenly, we're confronted with this fact, and we don't really know how to respond to it. I think that's beyond most of us, because we haven't deepened our hearts in a way that would make possible the grief that is wanting to be felt.